The crimson moons of Valdris Prime cast long shadows across the research station as Jenna Rivers packed her field equipment. Her hands trembled slightly, not from the cold mountain air, but from anticipation. 3 months of monitoring strange energy readings from the northern crater had led to this moment. Tonight, she would finally investigate the source. Jenna had always been different from other xenobiologists. Where others saw specimens to study and catalog, she saw living beings deserving of understanding and respect. Her colleagues often joked about her bleeding heart, but her groundbreaking research on peaceful alien species had earned her a place on the most prestigious missions across the galaxy. The research station buzzed with activity despite the late hour. Captain Drake Morrison stood near the communications array, his tall frame silhouetted against the glowing displays. Even in the dim light, Jenna could make out the sharp lines of his jaw and the way his dark hair caught the artificial light. She had been trying to ignore her growing attraction to the handsome military commander, but moments like these made it nearly impossible. Drake turned as she approached, his steel-gray eyes meeting hers. "Dr. Rivers, you shouldn't be going out there alone. The energy readings suggest something dangerous." "That's exactly why I need to investigate," Jenna replied, adjusting her pack. "If there's an injured creature out there, it needs help, not fear." Drake's expression softened slightly. Over the past weeks, he had watched Jenna work with various alien life forms, always with patience and genuine care. Her compassion was unlike anything he had encountered in his military career, where threats were eliminated rather than understood. "At least take a communicator," he said, pressing the device into her palm. His fingers brushed against hers, sending a warm current up her arm. "Call if you need backup." The northern crater stretched before Jenna like a wound in the planet's surface. Her scanner indicated the energy source was coming from a series of caves along the crater's edge. As she descended carefully down the rocky slope, she heard it a low, mournful sound that resonated through the darkness. Following the sound deeper into the caves, Jenna activated her portable light. The beam revealed massive claw marks scored into the rock walls, and further ahead, the unmistakable shimmer of scales. Her breath caught in her throat as she rounded a corner and saw the creature. It was magnificent and terrifying in equal measure. The alien beast stretched nearly 20 feet in length, with iridescent scales that shifted from deep purple to midnight blue in the light. Its serpentine body was muscular and powerful, ending in a tail lined with crystalline spikes. 4 legs, each ending in razor-sharp claws, supported its weight. But what captured Jenna's attention were its eyes, large, intelligent, and filled with pain. A massive wound cut across the creature's left flank, partially healed, but still seeping a luminescent fluid. The beast raised its elegant head as Jenna approached, and she expected it to attack. Instead, it simply watched her with those remarkable golden eyes, as if judging her intentions. "Hello, beautiful," Jenna whispered, slowly kneeling at a safe distance. "You're hurt, aren't you?" The creature tilted its head, and Jenna could have sworn she saw understanding in its gaze. Carefully, she reached into her pack and withdrew a medical scanner. The readings confirmed her suspicions. The wound was infected with native bacteria, slowly poisoning the magnificent being. "I'm going to help you," she said softly, beginning to unpack her medical supplies. "But you have to trust me." As if comprehending her words, the creature lowered its head to the cave floor in a gesture of submission. Jenna moved closer, her heart racing as she began to clean the wound. The beast remained perfectly still, occasionally making soft rumbling sounds that seemed almost like purrs. Hours passed as Jenna worked by portable light. She cleaned the wound, applied antibiotics, and carefully bandaged the injury with materials from her field kit. Throughout the process, she found herself talking to the creature, explaining what she was doing and offering comfort. "There," she said finally, stepping back to admire her work. That should help you heal properly. The creature lifted its massive head and looked directly at her. Then, in a gesture that took her breath away, it gently touched her shoulder with the tip of its snout, a thank you that transcended language barriers. As dawn approached, Jenna knew she had to return to the station. "I'll come back tomorrow," she promised, gathering her supplies. "I'll bring you food and check on your wound." The trek back to the research station felt different somehow. Jenna carried with her not just the memory of an incredible creature, but the knowledge that she had made a connection across species, something pure and meaningful, in a galaxy often driven by fear and misunderstanding. When she arrived at the station, Drake was waiting for her, concern evident in his expression. "How did it go?" he asked, searching her face for answers. "I found the source of the energy readings," she said carefully. "Nothing dangerous. Just some unusual mineral deposits in the caves." Drake studied her for a long moment, and Jenna wondered if he could see through her lie. But he simply nodded and handed her a cup of coffee. "Get some rest," he said gently. "You look exhausted." As Jenna headed to her quarters, she touched the communicator still clipped to her belt. She had not called for backup, had not reported her discovery to the military chain of command. Instead, she had made a choice to protect something beautiful and innocent from a world that might not understand. In her room, she pulled up her personal research files and began documenting her encounter. Not for official reports, but for herself a record of the moment when everything changed. She found herself thinking not just of the creature waiting for her return, but of Drake's concerned expression and the way his touch had made her feel safe. Tomorrow, she would return to the caves with food and medical supplies. Tomorrow, she would continue building a bridge between species. But for now, she allowed herself to dream of golden eyes full of wisdom and steel-gray eyes full of compassion. The following evening, Jenna made her way back to the northern crater, her pack now filled with various food samples and fresh medical supplies. Her heart raced with anticipation as she descended into the familiar cave system. The creature she had privately named Nexus was waiting for her, its golden eyes brightening as her light appeared in the tunnel entrance. "Hello again. Beautiful," she whispered, noting how much more alert the creature appeared. The wound on its flank looked significantly better, the luminescent discharge nearly gone. "You're healing well." Nexus lifted its magnificent head and made a soft chirping sound that seemed almost like a greeting. Jenna unpacked her supplies, laying out different food samples she had gathered from the planet's surface. Various fruits, vegetation, and protein sources from the station's stores. The creature sniffed each offering delicately before selecting a particular type of crystalline fruit that grew near the station's solar collectors. As it ate, Jenna noticed the way its scales seemed to shimmer more brightly, as if the creature was pleased. "Dr. Rivers to base station," her communicator crackled unexpectedly. Drake's voice came through clearly. "Status report on your mineral survey." Jenna's pulse quickened. "All normal, Captain. Just collecting additional samples for analysis." "Copy that. Be advised, we're tracking unusual energy signatures in your area. Return to base if anything seems off." She glanced at Nexus, who had paused eating to listen to the human voice. The creature's intelligence was unmistakable, as it seemed to understand the Muonar's potential threat the communication represented. "Understood. Returning shortly," Jenna replied, ending the transmission. Over the next hour, she carefully tended to Nexus's wound and observed the creature's behavior. It was clearly highly intelligent, responding to her voice and even attempting to mimic some of her sounds. When she showed it her medical scanner, Nexus examined the device with curiosity rather than fear. "You understand, don't you?" Jenna asked, gently stroking the smooth scales along the creature's neck. "You know I'm trying to help." Nexus responded by pressing its great head against her shoulder again. a gesture that had become their way of communication. The trust between them was growing stronger with each visit. Back at the research station, Jenna found Drake waiting for her in the lab. His expression was more serious than usual, and she noticed he had been reviewing energy readings on the main display. "Signatures are getting stronger," he said without preamble. "Command thinks there might be a large predator in those caves. They're considering sending a hunting party." Jenna's blood ran cold. "That's not necessary. The readings are just geological anomalies." "I've been monitoring the area for days." Drake stepped closer, his steel-gray eyes searching her face. "Jenna, is there something you're not telling me? You've been different since you started those surveys." Distracted, secretive. The way he said her name, with such gentle concern, made her heart skip. She realized that her feelings for Drake had been growing alongside her bond with Nexus. Captain's protective nature and genuine care for his team had drawn her to him. But now that same protective instinct threatened her secret. "I'm fine," she said, turning back to her equipment to avoid his penetrating gaze. "Just focused on my research." Drake moved behind her, close enough that she could smell his cologne and feel the warmth radiating from his body. "You know you can trust me, right? Whatever you found out there, we can handle it together." The word "together" sent a thrill through her. For a moment, she almost told him everything. About Nexus, about the incredible connection she had formed, about how the creature was nothing like the dangerous predator the military expected. Instead, she turned to face him, suddenly very aware of how close they were standing. "Drake, what would you do if you found something beautiful that others might not understand?" His eyes softened, and for a moment she thought she saw something deeper there. "I'd try to protect it," he said quietly, "even if it meant going against orders." Their faces were inches apart now, and Jenna could see the conflict in his expression. She realized he cared for her more than a commanding officer should care for a team member. The recognition of mutual attraction hung between them like electricity. "Dr. Rivers, Captain Morrison." Dr. Theo Walsh's voice interrupted from the lab entrance. The research director's appearance broke the spell, and both Jenna and Drake stepped back quickly. "Command has authorized a full expedition to investigate the energy anomalies," Walsh announced, consulting his datapad. 6-person hunting team, full weapons package. They arrive tomorrow morning. Jenna felt the world tilt around her. "That's completely unnecessary. My surveys indicate no immediate threat. The energy readings suggest otherwise," Walsh replied curtly. "Whatever's out there has been growing stronger. Command wants it neutralized before it becomes a problem." After Walsh left, Drake lingered in the lab. "Jenna, if there's something out there you think deserves protection, tell me now. Once that hunting team arrives, my hands will be tied." She looked into his eyes, seeing the genuine care and growing affection there. This was her chance to trust him, to bring him into her secret world. But the risk to Nexus was too great. "There's nothing dangerous in those caves," she said firmly. "Just unusual mineral formations that create energy readings." Drake nodded slowly, but she could see he didn't entirely believe her. "Be careful out there. And Jenna, whatever happens, know that I'll do everything I can to keep you safe." That night, Jenna couldn't sleep. She found herself thinking about both Drake and Nexus, two beings who had captured her heart in different ways. Drake represented the possibility of human connection, of romance and partnership. Nexus represented something even more precious, the bridge between species that could change how humanity viewed the universe. As dawn approached, she made a decision. She would warn Nexus about the hunting party and help the creature find a safer location. It would mean the end of their daily meetings, but it would ensure Nexus's survival. She slipped out of the station before sunrise, making her way to the caves one last time. Nexus was waiting for her as always, but this time the creature seemed agitated, as if sensing the approaching danger. "Listen to me," Jenna said urgently, kneeling beside the magnificent being. "You have to leave this place. Men with weapons are coming. I won't let them hurt you." Nexus tilted its great head, those intelligent golden eyes studying her face. Then the creature did something unexpected. It gently grasped her wrist with one clawed hand and began leading her deeper into the cave system. In a hidden chamber she had never seen before. Nexus showed her something that took her breath away. 3 smaller creatures, clearly offspring, rested in nests made of soft vegetation and crystalline formations. Nexus wasn't just protecting itself, it was protecting its family. "Oh my," Jenna whispered, understanding flooding through her. "You're not just any creature. You're a mother." The revelation changed everything. This wasn't just about saving one magnificent being. It was about protecting an entire family of intelligent creatures that humanity had never encountered before. As she looked at the peaceful scene, Jenna knew she would do whatever it took to keep them safe, even if it meant risking everything she had built with Drake and the research team. The hunting team arrived at dawn with military precision. General Victoria Stone stepped off the transport craft, her silver hair pulled back in a severe bun, and her cold blue eyes surveying the research station like a predator assessing territory. Behind her, 6 heavily armed soldiers unloaded weapons and scanning equipment designed for tracking and eliminating large, hostile life forms. Jenna watched from her lab window, her stomach twisted in knots. She had spent the night helping Nexus relocate her offspring to a deeper cave system, but she knew the family wouldn't be safe for long. The military scanners were far more advanced than her simple equipment. "Dr. Rivers?" General Stone's voice cut through the morning air as she entered the lab. "I understand you've been conducting surveys in the target area. Brief me on what we're facing." Drake stood beside the general, his expression unreadable, but his posture tense. Jenna could see the conflict in his steel-gray eyes as he watched her. Carefully, "The energy readings are from mineral deposits," Jenna repeated her cover story. "Crystalline formations that naturally emit electromagnetic signatures. No biological threats detected." General Stone studied Jenna with sharp intelligence. "Our orbital scans suggest otherwise. The energy patterns match those of a Class A predator, possibly with psychic capabilities. These creatures have wiped out entire colonies. With respect, General, I've been monitoring the area for weeks." Jenna insisted. "If there was a dangerous predator, I would have encountered it by now." "Perhaps," Stone replied coldly, "but we can't take that risk. Captain Morrison will lead the hunting party. Dr. Rivers, you'll guide them to the energy source." Jenna felt her world crashing down around her. She looked at Drake, silently pleading with him to find another solution, but his military training held firm. "Yes, General. We'll neutralize any threats we encounter." An hour later, Jenna found herself trudging toward the northern crater alongside Drake and his team. Each soldier carried enough firepower to level a small building, and their scanners painted the surrounding area with targeting data. The technology was designed for one purpose: finding and killing. "You're unusually quiet," Drake observed, walking beside her. "Nervous about the mission?" "Just concerned about unnecessary violence," she replied, checking her own scanner. The readings showed Nexus and her offspring had indeed moved deeper into the cave system, but they wouldn't stay hidden for long. As they reached the crater's edge, Sergeant Torres called out, "Movement detected, 300 meters northeast. Large heat signature, possibly multiple contacts." Jenna's blood ran cold. Nexus had returned to check on their original meeting place, probably looking for her daily visit. The magnificent creature had no idea she was leading armed soldiers directly to her. "Spread out," Drake commanded. "Standard hunting formation. Remember, we don't know what we're dealing with." They descended into the caves, and Jenna desperately tried to think of a way to warn Nexus. The creature's intelligence was remarkable, but would she understand the danger approaching through the darkness? The team rounded the familiar corner and there was Nexus, exactly where Jenna had expected to find her. The creature turned toward the approaching lights, her golden eyes widening as she realized these weren't the gentle hands she had learned to trust. Contact confirmed. Torres shouted. Hostile creature, 20 feet in length. Requesting permission to engage. Wait, Drake ordered, studying the magnificent being through his scope. Even in the dim light of the caves, Nexus was breathtaking. Her iridescent scales caught the soldiers' lights like living jewels, and her intelligent eyes tracked their movements with obvious awareness. It's beautiful, whispered Private Chun, the youngest member of the team. It's dangerous. General Stone's voice crackled through their communicators. She had remained at the station to monitor the mission remotely. Eliminate the target immediately. Nexus took a step forward, not in aggression, but in curiosity. She had learned to associate humans with kindness and healing. The creature made the same soft chirping sound she used to greet Jenna, a sound of welcome rather than threat. Did you hear that? Chun asked. It's trying to communicate. Stand down, Private, Drake commanded, but Jenna could hear uncertainty creeping into his voice. This was her moment. Jenna stepped forward, removing her helmet so Nexus could see her face clearly. Hello, beautiful, she said softly, using the same greeting she had used every day for weeks. Nexus's entire demeanor changed. The creature's eyes brightened with recognition, and she lowered her great head in the gesture of trust that had become their ritual. Slowly, carefully, Nexus approached Jenna and gently touched her shoulder with her snout. Dr. Rivers, step away from the creature, Drake ordered, but his voice lacked conviction. She's not dangerous, Jenna said, placing her hand on Nexus's smooth scales. She's intelligent, peaceful. I've been treating her injuries for weeks. She's not a predator. She's a mother protecting her children. The soldiers exchanged glances, their weapons still raised, but no longer targeted directly at Nexus. The creature's behavior was clearly non-aggressive, almost domesticated in her trust of Jenna. This is the source of your energy readings? Drake asked, stepping closer despite his training. Yes, her species naturally emits electromagnetic signatures. It's not a weapon. It's just how they communicate over long distances. General Stone's voice cut through the moment like ice. Dr. Rivers, you are in violation of first contact protocols. Step away from the creature immediately or face court-martial. Drake's jaw tightened as he listened to his superior's orders. Jenna could see the war playing out behind his eyes. Duty versus conscience. Military protocol versus human compassion. Sir, Sergeant Torres said quietly, the creature doesn't appear hostile. Maybe we should reassess the situation. Our orders are clear, Drake replied, but Jenna noticed he hadn't raised his weapon. Nexus, seeming to sense the tension in the air, began to back away slowly. Her golden eyes moved from Jenna to the armed soldiers, and for the first time since their first meeting, Jenna saw fear in those intelligent depths. Please, Jenna whispered to Drake, moving between Nexus and the soldiers. She has babies. A whole family hidden deeper in these caves. If we kill her, we're committing genocide against a species we don't even understand. Drake stared at her, and in that moment, Jenna saw the exact instant when his feelings for her overcame his military conditioning. The rigid lines of his posture softened, and he slowly lowered his weapon. Stand down, he ordered his team. Sir, our orders, Torres began. I said stand down, Drake repeated firmly. We need to reassess this situation with command. General Stone's voice exploded through their communicators. Captain Morrison, you will complete your mission immediately, or I will have you court-martialed alongside Dr. Rivers. Drake looked at Jenna, at Nexus, and at his conflicted team. Then he made the decision that would change everything. General Stone, he said into his communicator, we have encountered a peaceful, intelligent species. The creature poses no threat, and appears to be the guardian of young offspring. I am recommending immediate revision of our mission parameters. Your recommendation is noted and rejected. Eliminate the target. Drake removed his communicator and crushed it under his boot. He looked at his team, who were watching him with a mixture of shock and admiration. Sometimes, he said quietly, being human means doing what's right instead of what you're ordered to do. One by one, the soldiers lowered their weapons. Nexus, sensing the change in mood, approached the group cautiously. When she reached Drake, she studied him with those remarkable golden eyes, then gently touched his arm with her snout in the same gesture of trust she had shared with Jenna in that moment. Jenna knew that everything had changed. Drake had chosen compassion over duty, love over fear. As she watched him carefully stroke Nexus's scales, she realized that both her heart and the future of human-alien relations had been forever altered. The real adventure was just beginning.